Hi, I'm Vincent Andrasani, and this is episode 7 of The Place of Sound. Thanks very much for tuning into this episode, and thanks also to those who've been following along through the first few episodes of the show. For those who are listening for the first time, The Place of Sound is a show that explores the theme of space, or the social geography, using sound and listening. We do so through a variety of audio media production formats, so you can expect to do a few different types of listening in a single show. Episodes consist of what we refer to as audio portraits, or oral history-style interviews that explore the topic of home. Soundscape compositions, which use everyday sounds to communicate the personal and social significance of a given place. And we typically end the episode with a short documentary-style piece that, over recent months, has explored the topic of social isolation, something we know all too well as a result of our lockdown experiences. These are the types of projects that you can expect to hear on The Place of Sound, and all of them are produced by students here at Carleton University. They're what gets produced in Comms 4501 Digital Media Production, which is a fourth-year workshop course in the Communication and Media Studies program. In the last episode, we listened to some great projects by Yusuf Syed, Samantha Atkins, and Kit Chalkley. We have another round of great projects this time as well, but before we listen to them, we'll pause for a quick announcement by Taya Gogan and Savannah Platt. Taya and Savannah are members of the Communication Undergraduate Student Society in Carleton's Bachelor of Communication program. Taya is the president and Savannah is the vice president, and both are fourth-year students in the program. They're going to take a minute to say a few words about the Student Society, what it is, what it does, and if you're a communication student, how you might participate.
Hi, my name is Taya.
And I'm Savannah, and we're from the Carleton Communications Undergraduate Student Society, also known as CUS.
So you're probably wondering what CUS is. It is a student society ran by students for students interested in the communications field.
CUS hosts events, a mentorship program, and opportunities to network. Some of the events that we host are the Comms Annual Gala, Pints with Profs, mingling events, and professional development workshops.
This year, CUS held the first annual Black Communicators Conference, focused on highlighting the voices and experiences of Black individuals working in the communications field.
CUS also has a mentorship program, which pairs first and second year students with third and fourth year students. I was a part of the mentorship program myself during my first and second year as a mentee, and it was really helpful during my first couple of years of my university transition. My mentor helped navigate me through school life, course recommendations, and was a friend to add to my network. I was also a mentor during my third and fourth year and gained valuable leadership skills to add to my resume.
CUS has been a huge part of Savannah and I's undergraduate degree, allowing us to grow as students and as working professionals. CUS is a great way to get involved, meet new people, and gain soft skills to add to your resume. If this is something that interests you, be sure to follow us on our social media at Carleton CUS and stay up to date with our new and exciting events coming to you in the new school year.
As Taya and Savannah mentioned, if you're a communication and media studies student, it'd be worth staying up to date with what CUS has planned. They do some excellent programming through the school year, and it's a great way to get involved with your peers in a meaningful way. Okay, on to the projects. In this episode, we'll listen to an audio portrait, a soundscape composition, and a podcast. 3 projects in total. The audio portrait is by Hamza Ali and is on the topic of home. The project features Hamza's sister, who speaks about home as a place where she and her family gathers. The soundscape composition is by Yaqing Zha and is called A Chaotic Day Away from the Real Chaos, and is a bit of an experiment. In it, Yaqing spends the day away from her personal media, her phone, computer, and so on, and she reflects on what this time away might mean in light of the stresses that they cause. And the final project is a short podcast-style piece by Ladia Omoruyi titled So What's Next? The piece consists of a dialogue between Ladia and her friend Gideon, both of whom are on the verge of completing their undergrad degrees and who feel the weight of the question, well, what comes next? It's a great discussion that they have, so stick around to listen in. In the meantime, I'll let Hamza introduce his piece, which is titled, Home is Where We Gather.
Hello, my name is Hamza Ali, and I'm a fourth-year Communication and Media Studies student at Carleton University. In this clip, you'll be hearing Ihsan Ali, my younger sister who is currently in the second year of a health sciences major at the University of Ottawa. She'll be talking about what the word home means to her and how the people closest to her are a big part of that meaning.
Home is like my family, like the people who are there. So when I think home, I think of maybe when my siblings will come home from school, or if I need to make dinner that night so we can all eat together as a family. And maybe, do I want to tell, I can't wait to tell my mom what I did today and what happened, or something new I learned in school, and just share what's been going on in my life and maybe talk to them about what's happening in their life. With my sister, it's not an option. She'll tell you regardless. But home is the people, my family, the people around me. Being an introvert, I really spend a lot more time at home and spend a lot more time with my family, who I consider part of home. And if I wasn't close to them, then it might not be as safe or as comfortable as a place it could be. A story to perfectly describe what home is to me would be when I came home on my 9th birthday and my mom was busy in the kitchen cooking, and I just went to relax after. And then for dinner, we all sat at the table and my favorite foods are on the table. And I was really happy about that. And my mom's like, you think I don't know that it's your birthday and this is your favorite food? And we just had a fun time of eating together as a family. And I learned what my namesake, who I was named after, and why I was named my name. And it was just that special day coming home and the family all being there. And while we're not the typical family that does birthday parties, birthday gifts, that was a nice present, just having everyone together at home and having fun. In one sentence, I'd describe home as the place where we all gather.
Hi everyone, I'm here to introduce my soundscape composition called A Chaotic Day Away from the Real Chaos. After living alone since my roommate went back to China during the pandemic, I have been relying heavily on my connection to the internet. However, my mental state seems to suffer more as the increasing time I spend on my phone. This audio is about living a day outside of the cyberspace. It was a very chaotic but unique day for me, and hope you enjoy the audio as well. Since my roommate went back to Shanghai because of the global pandemic, I had lived on my own for about a month now. In order to escape from the invasion of loneliness and silence felt in this small apartment, like many others do, I decided to fill my everyday life with all kinds of online activities. Besides the school and working part-time 100% in the virtual world, the average screen usage report of my phone last week was about 11 hours. However, just browsing various kinds of websites, skimming contents on different platforms, or watching recommended videos on YouTube really entertained me that much. So, I decided to live a day without using my laptop, iPad, or iPhone to stay away from the internet and find out the answer. As many other days, I was waken up by my cat's eager shouts for food. Usually the first thing I do in the morning is open my phone and check for time and updates. But today I have no choice and get up immediately to feed her. As she is enjoying her chicken pumping breakfast, I suddenly realize there is no clock anywhere available in this apartment. None of my microwave or oven is displaying the right time. I think to myself, this might be a very challenging day, so before I get even more panic and killed by the hollowness of my stomach, I have no choice but to start cooking. Since Uber Eats have saved my life during the past few weeks, I hesitated in front of the fridge for a few moments to just restrain my impulse of reaching out to the phone I locked in my closet last night. So without any legit recipe or timer, I decided to make the edamame fried chicken according to my few cooking experience. My cooking process is quite chaotic. I paused for multiple times to recall the convenience of clicking on the little screen and a bowl of food will appear on your doorstairs in about 30 minutes. And I'm not used to the silence surrounding me. There would usually be some background music or sound. Thus, I am getting very impatient while waiting for the chicken to soak the flavor of the spices. I frequently open up the lid to check and stir, which makes the process even longer. The real challenge comes after I finish my brunch. I have no idea how I want to spend the rest of my day. I daze on the sofa for a few minutes and look around the room. I ask myself how I spent my time when I was a child, when these electronic devices had not existed yet. I decided to practice my Chinese calligraphy, which was on my planned list but was frequently pushed back because of my addiction to the internet. It is a beautiful afternoon. The snow on the balcony is melting under the warm sun. Several cars rush on the highway with the sound of the wind blowing gently through leaves. With the smell of the ink and the touch of the rice paper, I started to become more focused and calm, and even enjoying this quiet, peaceful moment. I woke up from my nap with my cat purr in my cuddle. The setting sun casts an orange shadow on the wall. I put on my coat and came out to the balcony the first time since I moved to this apartment in the summer. The glow of the sunset creates a beautiful picture in front of me. I breathe deeply to smell the scent in the air and ask myself whether I enjoy this unique day. My biggest surprise is the impact of media convergence. There are too many functions being gathered in our smartphones. Many tools are being gradually forgotten and eliminated by the society. And I started to realize how resistant I was to get along with myself or even accept the fact I'm the only person living in this place. I started to rethink about the definition of loneliness. The social media had taught or even trained us all the time of how to get along with others, to interact with the rest of the world, which made me ignore the importance of getting along with myself. After today, loneliness might not be that scary for me anymore. It creates a space and period of time for me to talk to myself, to settle down, to recover and reboot. Today's experience really gives me the motivation and courage to overcome my fear towards living alone and abstain my internet addiction. I sit at the balcony with my guitar till the sunset. The skyline is lighted up with many street lamps. None of them are connected, but they are all individually shining bright.
Hi, my name is Ladia, and this podcast is featuring one of my really good friends, Gideon. And throughout the podcast, we follow this theme of so what's next? Being that both of us are almost done school, we've kind of tried to answer this so what's next question, specifically while navigating the pandemic and just kind of figuring out what our future is looking like and the pressures young people face to kind of get their stuff together. It's been a whole year since we've been living in this pandemic. And while I can't say it's been the worst experience of my life, I'm definitely ready for it to be over. And as someone who's about to finish a significant portion of my life, my undergraduate degree, the one question that's been on my mind is, what's next? What's next? And that freaks me out because I have no idea. And I know I'm not the only one who feels this way. So I decided to have a conversation with my good friend Gideon about this idea of what's next, as well as just being a young person throughout this entire pandemic. How is like last year ending off for you when we switched to online in terms of school? Like, how is that?
Like, how did that end?
Yeah. I'm gonna lie, I loved it because that was the only reason I got straight A's.
I had sort of a similar experience. I got like one pandemic boost that I remember off top. Mm-hmm. I had some professors that it was like, no, we're gonna stick through this, and I know you're dropping everything and moving, and some of you guys are desperately trying to find a way home, blah blah blah, but we're gonna do things exactly how we thought we were gonna do it.
Or like they'll make it harder.
Yeah, or they'll make it even harder. Like, oh, it's online now. You guys thought you guys could catch a break. Mm-hmm. No. Mm-hmm. We're gonna do everything we can. 100 questions, 5 seconds.
Yeah.
To do all 100. Come on.
Right?
That's what it felt like, at
Literally,
least. I know that's a lot of exaggeration, but that's really what it felt like. It was like freaking, you see in like the movie when something happens in the classroom and the professor's still trying to talk over everybody, mm-hmm. and everybody's like scrambling. Mm-hmm. Relax. Do you see what I mean?
Relax. Calm down.
Read the room.
Take a breath.
Read the room.
Just inhale, hold 5 seconds, and release. It'll be great. But I think like for me the most, I don't know if it was frustrating or anxious. What is the word?
Anxiety inducing?
Yeah, there we go. Anxiety inducing thing mm-hmm. was like, so ending off of third year. Mm-hmm. We've talked about this before, but like my goal was to get a 10.0 so I could get into the honors thesis class, right? And like that was like my drive, because here I am thinking about my future, like, oh, I want to go to grad school, so obviously I have to write a thesis in my fourth year or else I'm not gonna get in and I'm just gonna fail at life. Anyways. So, you know, did all of that stress, and I'm just like, bro, and then pandemic hits, so I'm trying to get these grades, mm-hmm. and then I decided, nah, I'm good. I'm not taking this honors thesis class. And then there's still people asking like, so like, oh, are you gonna do it? So you're not doing a master's anymore because like you're not doing the honors thesis? And I was like,
who's asking this?
I said, who said that? I think it was one of my profs even was like, oh, you're not gonna do that. And I was like, no, I still am. I just don't want to take this class because I can't be bothered.
If like really, if you don't love it, it's so important to actually know what you're gonna do. Because I could do the thesis and I could go and do all. It's not a matter of ability, it's if you're actually serious about it.
Yeah, exactly. And like it took me a minute to kind of realize, I was like, no, I don't want to do this like at all. Like it. I don't like research. This pandemic has been a learning journey for a lot of us. And for me, it started when I decided to not enroll in the honors research essay class. And while this may not be a big deal for a lot of people, it was for me because I had planned my entire fourth year surrounding this class, and I planned my entire future based on this one decision. But making the decision to not take it really made me reevaluate what I wanted to put my energy into, especially because of the upcoming online school year. So as almost done university students, we're almost there, we're getting there. Something, I don't know, like I've heard it a bit, especially like it's more from like family members, and just like maybe like random people going by being like, oh, like what are you up to next kind of thing. But I think it's also just like internal pressures just on myself, but just like this whole idea of what's next, because obviously undergrad is a massive chapter in your life. Like it's pretty significant. It definitely is. Whether it's a good way or a bad way, like it's a significant chunk of your adult life, right? Like it's like your transition to adulthood. So that whole idea of what's next, and Western ideals is like, okay, you finish school, you get a good job, and that's your life. Now that there's a whole fucking pandemic, trying to answer that what next question is just like, bitch, I don't know. I don't know. Stop asking me.
I think a lot of people put things on pause, like when the pandemic started, including us young people. We put a lot of our plans on pause.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, we're just going to resume when it opens. But we're now realizing that you're gonna have to, instead of pausing, you're gonna have to just take what that was and adapt.
Yeah,
and
exactly. Like just reshape it to try and like fit into what this current situation is. But
so I feel like that gap basically of us being on pause, thinking, okay, when's things coming back, that pause that we went on, if you look at what our life is, it's been 20 something years. That's a whole year pause. To us, that's a lot.
Yeah,
Do you see what I mean? To us, that's a very long time. So that contributes again to our feelings of, oh, we're not doing anything, or what do we do next, or just being so uncertain, because to you, a significant part of your lifetime, your adult life, has been put on pause.
Exactly.
Because you didn't know what was going on, because nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah, I hear that. No, facts. That's facts. And even like aside from like just like observing people on socials, just like the general expectations that society has placed on new grads, like our age, but also especially if you've now just finished school as well, like you have a degree, you're set up for success. I did that in quotation marks. But like, I think there's more pressure because like, hey, aside from the social media route, you know, doing whatever, influencing, making like now it's like the professional going into the workforce. Now it's like I'm expected to do that, and it's just like, okay, well, one, pre-pandemic I couldn't even get a job, you know what I'm saying? Like it was very difficult, the job market in general, and now like with pandemic, so many people have gotten laid off, and it's like, are as many people hiring? So it's like, oh, now I gotta stress, like, am I gonna have a job, kind of? So it's like, again, going back to that what next question, like, bro, I can't answer that because I don't even know if the world is gonna be open, if the world's gonna tomorrow or not. Like, I don't know. I don't know what my future looks like, but it was easier for me to kind of plan for my future when I knew the state of the world, what the world was doing. Because nobody knows what's happening right now, how can I even answer that question? And I feel like it's so inconsiderate to be asking people that right now.
I think you make a good point, and I think that's exactly why a lot of people now are trying to turn into creating stuff. And I think it's obviously a bad thing because it's trash, obviously, but I think it's a good thing in asking ourselves, what can we contribute to society on an individual basis? Okay. Do you see what I mean? I don't know if this makes sense. I'm gonna put it like this. You talked about the pressures of finishing university, being a grad, and being expected to do something. If you're paying whatever your tuition is, you're investing into something. People, with all investments, if you look at Bitcoin and all this stuff, there's a reason people keep checking what the price is at now. Do you see what I mean? People are addicted to instant gratification. People look at you went to school for 4 years, you paid X amount of dollars, what can you do with it right now? Like, what they can don't you show care for about it? Like what are you waiting? Do you see what I mean? They're like, what can you do? You finished, all right, go get a job. They expect you to make that leap right away. You know, especially if you go and you do a master's, you've now basically doubled that same debt that you just got doing undergrad in half the time. So now they're really looking at you, especially like if like you were around like family and stuff like that. They're really looking at you like, yo, like, so what's going on?
You have all these accreditations and shit. You have
all this stuff that costs a lot of money. What's coming from it right now, even in the pandemic?
Exactly.
They don't think people don't look at that like it's a factor, really.
And I think like the whole like what's next thing, one thing that I definitely learned during the pandemic in general is just like, let me not stress about what's next. Let me just live in the moment. Whatever happens, you know? Like, okay, let me just let it happen. Instead of stressing so much about the future, which I do all the time. Like, whatever. Like, just live relax. Moment, it'll all work itself out. I made it this far so far. And I will continue to make it further.
That's really all it is. Once you have that confidence of exactly. What you said,
and I'm just like, things will fall into places. I will end up where I need to end up, and it'll be fine. That's
people
what
need to understand. Life is never you. It's not like there's a tutorial on how to do life. Even if there was, it's not applicable to everybody.
Exactly. Everybody will do life differently.
You're okay. You feel me?
So maybe this doesn't answer the so what's next question, but that's okay, because it's okay to not know what's happening next. I'd rather take my days one day at a time and live in the moment, because the future is uncertain and there's no point stressing myself over what's unknown.
Thanks very much for tuning in to this episode of The Place of Sound. Before signing off, a couple of quick notes. The first is about the new featured work section on the Place of Sound website. It's a blog that presents some of the individual projects that you will hear or have heard on this show. On the website, you're of course able to play the audio work itself, but you can also see some of the original photos and the writing that students produce to go along with it. Since you can't read that writing or see those photos here on the radio show, this is a great way to access it. So check that out in the blog section on theplaceofsound.ca. And the second note is that we've now put together enough episodes that there's a bit of an archive emerging. To listen back to previous episodes, you can find them in two places, on ckcufm.com or on the website at theplaceofsound.ca. In the meantime, keep your ear out for upcoming episodes which air on CKCU Radio every other Monday at 6:30 p.m. Until then, thanks for listening to The Place of Sound.